you have to be emptied of everything you're holding on to, which is the third thing that she offers us, right? This poverty. You have to let it all go, but you won't, because you can't. Because who are you without your stuff? And I don't just mean your material stuff. Who are you without your ideas? Who are you without your prejudices? Who are you without your isms and your ideologies? You don't know, because you've never been without them. I mean, maybe you're born without them. I mean, my guess is you're not born a Jew or a Christian or Muslim, right? You're born to Jewish, Christian, Muslim parents. I became a Jew on the 8th day because someone thought it was a great idea that Jewish men should have less of a penis than everybody else on the planet. I've never looked, but maybe it says in small letters, "This is a Jewish kid." Now, I don't know what it says when they brand you, but I mean, that's what makes you a Jew. And then your parents spend decades trying to explain why that was a good idea. And that's where the chosen people comes from, right? But I mean, you're chosen to have your penis chopped off. No, you're chosen for all these cool things, but you can't get the cool things if you have a full penis. Oh, well, okay, I'm sorry. So you're made something. You're made into an ism or an ideology by your parents, by schools, by society, whatever it is. You don't know who you are without your story. You've probably never been without your story. And even imagining who you would be without your story is just another story. You have to be crucified. And when you're without your story, something happens. I think it's the embrace of the Divine Mother. I call it the searing love of the Divine Mother, because it burns away the last of what you're clinging to. And all that's left is the pure Godhead that is your truest nature. You follow that? So let me just read you one other piece from this gospel. Just in case you were thinking this is disembodied, abstract. "Kiss me," she says. This is Sophia speaking now for herself. Once you get to chapter 3 in the Gospel of Sophia, it's all her talking. "Kiss me, crush your mouth to mine. Drink my wine and become drunk on me. Quickly, draw me into your secret place. Let me grow wild within you. I am black and beautiful, darker than sun-baked skin, the darkness of mystery, the black Madonna spinning creation the way a spider spins a web. The black Tara empowering you for freedom. My body fills the air with the scent of yearning. Lying between my breasts, you become intoxicated on my fragrance. I yearn for your left hand beneath my head and your right hand pulling me to you. Let no one and nothing disturb our lovemaking. You, my beloved, are mine, and I am yours." And then she goes on. This is deeply erotic. This is not right? This is not that, though I love doing that. In fact, I'm going to do that for half an hour. Oh. This is sexual. This is erotic. This is full-bodied. This is just like the crucifixion, but it's the reverse. Where the crucifixion is full-bodied emptying, the resurrection is full-bodied informing or in spiritus, or where she's pouring herself into you. You can't tell where she starts and where she ends, or where you start, where you end. It's just this one erotic thing. I've read, and maybe some of you had sex, but I've read that you could have sex in such a way that there is a loss of boundary. Please raise your hand if you've had that kind of sex. I could have that kind of sex, but I can't afford it. So you need a professional. That's why in the Tibetan tradition they would hire these specially trained yoginis to work with the lamas, to have sexual union, to help them experience this divine awakening. But it's too far to go to do that. To bed, so I'm not going. So this is this full body. Freud has this phrase. Remember Freud? We don't like Freud anymore. But that's too bad. Read Norman O. Brown. Anyone ever went back in the 60s, 70s? Norman O. Brown. All right. So, you have to be a certain mindset at that time, and maybe you weren't even around then. But Norman O. Brown salvaged Freud for the 60s and 70s. And Norman O. Brown talks a lot about what Freud calls polymorphous perversity. Perverse, it sounds terrible. But what it means is that you don't limit your sexual arousal to the standard traditional erogenous zones. Your whole body is alive to the sensuality of life itself, like little babies, right? I don't know, because I'm not a psychologist and I don't play one on TV and I have no real connection to it, but somehow we outgrow full-bodied sensuality, and we limit it to certain body parts, and we limit it to certain body parts for other people with different body parts, and we're moving away from that, and to some extent. But I don't know if we've gotten close to a full-bodied polymorphous perversity. But if you've ever had that experience, and you don't have to have it with a partner, you can have it with her, capital H, her, with the Divine Mother, with Sophia, Chachma, Shekhinah, Tara, Prajna, Tao. You can have an experience with the Divine Mother that is absolutely orgasmic. So orgasm in French, I looked this up when I was translating that book. Orgasm in French, anyone know the word in French? Right? Petite mort. Little death. It's a little death. It's not the big death on the cross. It's a little death in bed. Or in a chair. In the back of a car. I've read these things. It's a little death because there's a moment of orgasmic release when your conscious self isn't there. It's gone, it's died. It's what the Buddhists might call kensho, a little awakening. And when you have this experience of awakening, whether you have it with a physical partner, you have it with the Divine Mother, you have it through meditation, through chanting, there's so many different ways, through gardening, there's so many different ways to get this experience or to have this happen to you. My first experience with this was when I was 16. I just learned how to meditate. I was a very serious Zen meditator. My life was all about enlightenment. Gave that up by 17. But that's what I wanted, was enlightenment. And I was staying with a friend in Cape Cod for a week during summer break, during high school. And he had a summer job. I was just a guest. And I went to some lake near his house. And I took the sand on the shore of the lake and I made a little cushion out of it. And I sat there in my very formal Zen posture. And I just sat there. I did whatever the book told me to do. I didn't get a Zen master till much later. So I'm doing what the book told me to do. And then something happens. What happens, I don't know, because I'm gone. That's the little death. Rami isn't there. The lake's gone, the sand's gone, the whole thing is just gone. What they say in the Heart Sutra, gate, para, gate, parasam, gate, bodhi, svaha. I'm not going to translate it, it's just cool that I know it. But gate, gone, paragate, beyond the gone. Parasam gate, more gone than gone. Bodhi svaha, bodhi, wisdom, awakening, svaha, wow. You're so far gone that wisdom is what's left. And then when you come back, it's just, wow, svaha. Amen, Selah, Amin. But in English, wow. So I disappeared. I don't know what happened because I wasn't there. When I came back, and it could have just been seconds later, I have no idea because I didn't have a watch or anything. But when I came back and I returned, I was back on the lake and all that. I was enveloped. I felt this overwhelming love from the whole universe. I felt the mother embracing me. And I felt an overwhelming love for the universe. Now, I felt the love from the mother as unformed and all-encompassing. But the love I felt for everything else, I saw stuff. The seaweed and well, that wasn't the ocean, but the lake and the little creatures running around the beach, and all that stuff. I felt something for each one of them. I was driving up here, to get up here, and I'm going up Florida Turnpike. And I had this weird experience. Do you know who, his first name I think his name is Mike Snyder. Mike Snyder, when he was a teenager, now he's in his 80s. When Mike Snyder was a teenager, he was America's virtuoso fiddle player, a country guy. But as a kid, he was recognized by the United States as our premier fiddle player. He was in the Grand Opry for a gazillion years. He's still there, I think, once in a while. But his shtick is he gets up on stage with his band and he tells the worst jokes. He hires people to write groan-inducing jokes. And when you're ready to go, get off the stage, he picks up his fiddle and he plays the most amazing country music. So he came to see me once. I was lecturing at Belmont University in Nashville. And he told me he was coming and we wanted to get together. And I said, okay, I didn't know who he was, but I looked him up and I found out, he was this violinist. And he came in, and the students, so the students are all dressed like students dressed, and then in comes a guy from Hee Haw. Remember Hee Haw? It was like he was just off the stage in the Grand Ole Opry. He's got the denim overalls and the baseball cap and no straw in his teeth, but he could have. It looked like that. And I figured, that's got to be this guy. So afterwards, he says, let's go out, get something to eat. And he says, you like Mexican food? And I said, yeah. So we got in his car, and Nashville's got lots of Mexican restaurants, and there was one very close. And all he had to do was pull out of the parking lot and go to the right, and he pulls out of the parking lot and goes to the left. And then he starts talking, and he's just talking, and I wonder, where's this restaurant? We get on the highway, and we're just leaving town, and we're driving in the middle of nowhere, and he's very nice, and he's talking to me, and then he's driving, and he says, I bet you think this is pretty weird. You got in a car with a guy you don't know. I'm taking you out in the middle of nowhere. I could be a serial killer. And I didn't know what to say, but I said, that's not the best thing to say to somebody in my situation. But he actually had his restaurant that he went to, and it was great, and it was about an hour outside town. And the whole time, he was telling me his spiritual journey. He was a student of Ramana Maharshi, one of the great Indian saints. And I'll keep the story short, but one of the things he told me was he spent years driving back and forth from Gallatin, Tennessee to the Grand Ole Opry, so it's a long schlep, and meditating, which you shouldn't meditate in the car. But okay, it's Tennessee. So anyway, at some point after years of doing this, he felt the trees were alive with the divine. What Ramana might call the I am, like from the Bible. And then he said, but that wasn't what he wanted. So then he kept going, and he said, years later, I had the same trip, and I'm doing it every day. And then he said, I could see the divine now in the trees. Before, the trees were amorphous. It was just love coming through. Now I saw each tree. So I'm driving up here, and I'm getting close to Orlando. I'm coming off, eventually soon, to come off the turnpike. And I have the same experience. I feel this deep love from and for these trees. Now, I assumed, because I was close to Orlando, that they're all animatronic. And that Disney had programmed them that way, and they weren't going in the breeze. They were waving. Hey, come on. But I felt what he felt. Well, I think. But I felt what I felt. And it was the love of the mother manifesting through these trees. The return of the divine feminine is the call to self-empty to the extent that you can become polymorphously perverse and feel the love from and for the mother, not in some abstract way, but for the person next to you. right? Do try this at home, but don't try it here. But feel that from the person next to you.